brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with...
Tyler Hymanson.
And? Wait, Tyler, where's Eliz?
I don't think Eliz is here this week.
Wait, what? She's not here? This is her podcast.
I know.
She's got to be here.
I know.
I just got a text from Eliz. She's having surgery to get a new voice.
New voice.
And apparently she's going to premiere it next week. Isn't that cool?
I mean, I wish if I got a new voice, I think I would pitch it down a little bit, maybe sound a little cooler.
Maybe a little manlier, like
hey.
Like our special guest that we have today.
Yes.
Filling in for Eliz, we have a very special guest today. Our guest host, Garrett McElver. Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. Hello. I like to imagine that Eliz is going to come back next week sounding like Gerald and Hey Arnold. She's like, my voice isn't as good. And all of a sudden it's like, on moonlight day. Just amazing. Like
that would be awesome. For those of you who don't know Garrett, he is a music supervisor at Super Music Vision, working on the shows The Tick and SEAL Team at this moment. Isn't that right?
That is correct. I do both of those shows.
I know that Eliz is upset about missing this episode because she is obsessed with Griffin Newman.
Oh, yeah?
From The Tick.
He's so funny.
So, she's like, got any hookups? No, I'm kidding.
I do not, but I'll see if I can put in a good word.
All right. I'll let her know you said that.
My resources are Twitter, so she also has the same ones.
Well, Garrett, we're excited to have you here, man.
Very excited to be here.
It's super, super awesome.
Yeah, excited to talk about Tremors.
Tremors 2.
Aftershocks.
Yes.
Tremors brings everyone together.
Garrett, have you seen any of the Tremors films?
I have. I don't remember how many, because I feel like in my memory they're all the same movie.
I don't remember how many there are.
Oh, we're about to find out.
Yeah, I try not to keep looking ahead. There's more than 2, and I was very surprised by that. I saw them all, or at least the first 3 or 4 when I was a teenager, or as they were coming out in the 90s and in the early 2000s. I feel like this franchise is a franchise I never was into, but at every stage of my life, one of my very close friends was very into it. And so I feel like it's just been this part of me that I was like, oh yeah, my friend Tremors. Like, I don't know him that well, but he really is friends with Scott. So like, we like to have him around. Like, he's cool. But
you just call him Tremors?
Yeah. And like, I swear, like as a kid and like until like the last year, like one of my closest friends was a dude. So like, whenever it was on Sci-Fi, I'd be like, what movie is this? Oh, Tremors 12 or whatever. Like, cool.
Like, of course it is.
The space one. Yeah. Tremors 12, the space one.
Is this the one with Jason in space? Or is that not? Oh, shoot. Never mind.
Where graboids gets his seed.
No.
But yeah, I have seen him, but I did rewatch 1 and then 2, obviously, for today. Just make sure I knew which was which and to remind myself by the intricate plot details that is Tremors.
This guy did his homework.
And now it's time for you guys to do a little bit of homework by watching that trailer for Tremors 2 Aftershocks.
They lay dormant for years, waiting for the chance to appear once again. Now they're back, and they'll find you no matter where you try to hide. And only a team of dedicated professionals can stop them.
We need someone, an expert, to eliminate these creatures. To go graboid hunting.
This time, they're prepared.
Preparing to fire.
Wow. I'm still feeling the aftershocks of that trailer. It's like shaking the table. Can you guys feel it? Can you feel it? Rumble, 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 rumble. Rumble, 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 rumble.
The warning sign of an earthquake, the sound of rumble, 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 rumble.
So before we go too far here, I just wanted to, ask Garrett a couple questions about what he does, because we got a cool guy.
Absolutely.
We got a cool guy here in the office today, the Sequel Rights office. He does music supervision, and he has some experience with franchises, which is why we brought him on in the first place.
Absolutely.
You work at the company Super Music Vision that did Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul.
This is correct. My very first experience in the world of supervision, which it does not get lost on me, was getting to work on the final season of Breaking Bad. And by work on it, I mean I sat there and giddied with excitement and internalized all of my thoughts while I sat there and went, cool, yeah, that's cool.
He's Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay, cool.
He's really doing it.
I remember my first day vividly as I came in and most seasons they're filming and editing and you're kind of working on multiple episodes at once. And so my first day, I believe it was episode 14 of season 5, and I won't give away the points, for spoilers and everything, but a prominent death happens. And I remember not knowing that this happened before seeing the scene in which it happened. And I sat there going, oh, cool. Yeah, I guess that happens this season. And inside of me, it was, no! Why? And I just screamed. But it was very, very cool. Breaking Bad's one of my favorite shows, greatest show on TV. And then getting to see full sequel, prequel, rebootquel mode.
Yeah, it's kind of a mix of everything.
Of Better Call Saul, and I've been on that for its entirety. Music coordinator on that show is the title, and we get to, we work with the whole producer team and the writers, and we help find those songs that they're licensing, anything on camera, all those fun black and white sequences at the Cinnabon, all those songs that they're using there, we're helping license.
Sweet. So speaking like from the music side of things, since it's like a franchise, it's like you said, it's a sequel, prequel, rebootquel. Are you guys trying to ever like create like a through line or hint back to any of the type of music you guys used on Breaking Bad? I know you were there for just the end of it. But.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation. So when we first started season 1, it was very much, okay, we want to not do Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Like the composer was like, I'm not going to write the same kind of score. We were trying to find different types of music. And it took a few episodes to really figure that out. And I know the composer and Thomas, who's the music supervisor, Thomas Gulbich, owns the company I work for. They were just struggling. It was like, what's the sound? Do we go more kitschy? Do we go more funny? Do we go more serious? And that took a little while to figure out. And it was very much a thoughtful process of, this is a different story in the same universe. It's an entirely different character. But it was also interesting because we know the characters, sort of his being Saul, and then now we're also introducing pre and post Breaking Bad character versions.
It starts becoming more and more similar, right?
Yeah, and there was a definitive sound with Saul on Breaking Bad where if you go back and watch all the scenes in his office, there's this amazing collection of like patriotic music, just like ridiculous library music, and it's so fun and lovely and awesome. And we very carefully were like, well, we're not there yet. Like, he's not listening to this patriotic music. So like, what would the sound be? And so it was going backwards. And then there's a hint towards it. It's, I forget the episode number off the top of my head, but in the first season of Breaking Bad, there's a jazz version of Battle of the Hymn, or version.
Oh, sweet.
And it was just like, and we almost said, oh, is this too soon to do this? But it was too perfect to not do.
Nice.
And so we occasionally sprinkle these things in and try to do that. But as the seasons have gone on, we actually don't really talk about that as much. It's really, okay, we're in the story right now. Like, what's Jimmy up to? What's Chuck up to? What's Kim up to? And just telling that story. And the writers are really kind of guiding it towards the Breaking Bad universe. And I think just with that, we naturally get into like more high stakes montages where suddenly the songs that we're looking at are somewhat similar and related to the Breaking Bad sound.
And you're having fun working on The Tick?
Oh, so much fun.
Nice.
This is a childhood dream come true. Speaking of franchises.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like
Indeed.
I don't know, the 4th iteration of TV or
animated, and then Patrick
Warburton
Warburton
one.
Yeah.
And,
I guess 3rd official television, and there's the comic and every other version of it. But I love video games and everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just awesome. Ben Edlund, who created it, has created every version of it. He created this one, and he is the Tick. His personality is very much that like lovely, like fun, jovial, awesome personality.
That's awesome.
And he's very much into the throw out crazy ideas. If you think of something funny, let's try it out. And so in season 1, there's like a kazoo cover of a Pixies song, and you know, there's a scene
That must have been hard to find or have created.
It was created. Yeah, we had a school.
Garrett's like, I got a kazoo.
A music school like created this version, and
Oh my
I can't
God.
take any of the credit for the creative idea. I kind of came in and they were like, "We're doing this. Can you make sure it's all legally done right?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely."
That's awesome.
Dear Pixies publisher, we would like to use a kazoo version of your song. It was amazing. But yeah, and now we're on season 2, and it's been a blast. And I just laugh every day reading those scripts and seeing the dailies and everything.
Sweet. Well, yeah, if anybody wants to check those out, The Tick is on Amazon.
Correct.
And Better Call Saul on AMC.
Yep, and the first 3 seasons on Netflix. So
Oh, sweet. Awesome. But I do have one question. Do any of those projects you work on have graboids in them?
surprisingly, no.
Okay, I was hoping maybe they would. So it would make more sense that you're on this podcast.
Right.
I really have no reason for being here.
Why don't we get back into Tremors to Aftershocks? So
The
this
second one.
movie, yeah, I said Tremors 2.
I know. The second one.
Tremors 2, Aftershocks 2.
Also.
More Aftershocks.
Shocks.
So this movie, it starts off right with a shot of Mexico, right?
Yes.
We're in Mexico. We see someone dealing with graboid problem.
The age-old tale
hashtag
of
graboid problem.
graboids.
I got
Graboid problems.
Oh, that's terrible.
I do love how very quickly it gets into it. It's just like,
Yeah.
here's a guy just running down the field,
Yeah.
and there's a graboid
Right.
chasing him.
Yeah, and we know we've seen the first film at this point, and you know the rules behind graboids, and so you see this guy like shimmying on this pole, trying not to touch
Yeah.
the ground, and then it's just great because he comes up against all these like barrels, and he's trying to like jump across them.
My first thought was imagining the writers being like, okay, it's the first scene. What haven't they been on top of yet?
Yeah.
Like, we've been on a house and a shack and like a store. Oil barrels?
Yeah. What else is in the desert? Oh, I think I saw a barrel out there once.
What's something flimsy where like it makes sense if you fell off of, but like would make sense for the location?
You know how oil companies just leave fields of barrels out
yeah,
there?
totally. And suffice it to say, this guy dies real fast.
Yes, he does.
And like the best death of like both the first 2 movies.
Yeah.
I don't know where the franchise goes, but like,
Yeah.
that shot of it coming out of the ground and just swallowing
him,
them
and then like him in the mouth.
Yeah, he's just
still.
like,
I was like on YouTube for this, watching some like very lo-fi behind the scenes footage, and there's an amazing like blip of that scene and the actors standing in like the thing. Not very cool, but like because it's totally out of context.
we were talking about on the last episode when
Walter Chang.
Walter Chang is getting swallowed, like he's on like a bicycle seat,
Yeah.
basically, and then there's like a guy and a puppet just like moving him around.
Yeah, it's like we built a recliner inside of the graboid so that the person there can be as comfortable as possible as they fake their death. Yeah,
So I'm sure it's a similar situation there. He's sitting on some sort of banana seat.
totally. And we get to see who's coming back right after this.
Yeah, I
Right?
we do. It's like
What are you
where,
gonna
where
say?
it's just like where do graboids come from? Mexico. Maybe that is the hypothesis that this movie sets forward.
we were in perfection, and like where else could we go?
Go.
I don't know, Mexico.
Where else is there deserts?
That is a little weird, but
Yeah. So yeah, then
I
we
mean, it's just the opposite. It's like, well, there was sand in the first one, so how about like this grassy field?
a super green place. So yeah, we see who's coming back. This does do the thing that I do enjoy that Benji also did, where the first movie happened in the movie universe, and now people are within universe famous.
yes, I thought that was great.
Yes, of their. So it's the
Fred Ward.
Fred Ward is back. Kevin Bacon is out. But they gave him the out of that he's in love, like the
Him and
relationship.
Rhonda was her name.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
They got
Her-
married.
They got married and worked out, and
And now he has better things to do than die.
He was like, no, I'm good.
So Fred Ward and Kevin Bacon, Valentine and Earl got like a 15 minutes of fame for hunting graboids. They did Good Morning America. There was apparently an Adidas commercial of them running,
Reebok commercial.
A Reebok commercial.
They got on People and National Geographic, as they mentioned in the first movie. You see them on the wall. Yes, I looked for it, and yes, I wrote it down.
My favorite thing that was on the wall is they have a newspaper article for Bert, who's also back in this movie, by the way. And his like pull quote is like, "I live to survive."
Yeah.
Which I thought was great. So they have all this stuff, and there's a video game.
The Graboids video game, which I want to play.
Was that a real thing ever?
I looked
don't
up to
think
see
so.
if there was a game called Graboid, and I did not find anything.
Oh, man, that was my first thought of what arcade do I need to go
Yeah,
to?
I was like,
Yeah.
is this like
Right
an
now.
asteroid type? Like, I don't know, some
Ooh, it
sort
could
of.
be.
Yeah. That would have been so awesome.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it was big enough franchise, right, that they were making arcade games?
Yeah, probably.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. If if this movie had gotten its full budget.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was supposed to be a $17 million movie. They're going to go down to Australia and do all this stuff, and they ended up things soured, and they ended up making it a direct-to videotape movie release for $4 million.
Yeah. I'd be interested to know what happened. But
Yes.
I love the idea of like, well, Australia looks like Mexico, right? Oh, we can't go there? I guess Valencia? California's close?
Yeah.
Or do you think it wasn't Mexico originally? Like maybe they were
Maybe
in
it
Australia,
wasn't. Yeah, maybe
and they're
they were
like,
in Australia.
What's a cheaper spot?
Yeah.
They're like, what does Southern California already look like? I don't
Valencia.
know.
Yeah, Valencia.
Speaking of speaking of the Mexico thing, there's just a ridiculous music cue in this film where like,
Oh my God.
where like Fred Ward. So this guy from the oil company comes to recruit Fred Ward because he's like a graboid killer, and he's got to come kill all the graboids that
Right.
is around their oil refinery.
He works for a Mexican oil refinery.
Yeah, and so Fred Ward reluctantly agrees.
Yeah.
And he's like, we're off to Mexico. And it's playing like, country music like
dark western.
Yeah. And then like as soon as they like the split second the car passes the sign that says like now entering Mexico, it's like
Cue typical mariachi music.
mariachi trumpets like
I loved immediately when that happened. I laughed and I thought of both of you. And then it comes back. I'm going to skip to the end. Like that's the credit song,
Yes.
and I could not have like done a bigger standing ovation to the movie at that point. Like, yes,
it's so great.
That might have to play us out at the end of this
Yeah,
episode.
I think it's going
I
to.
do. All right.
but I don't want to skip over Senor Ortega's introduction.
Oh, of course not.
Because I found this whole like exposition of what the movie's about just so ridiculous. So, what's our new Grady, our new partner's name?
Yeah.
So Grady is the cab driver for Senor
That's
Ortega.
okay. Yeah. The whole movie, I'm like, wait, is this guy just the cab driver?
You can tell from his driving gloves that he's wearing in the scene.
He pulls up and he's like, "That's the guy.
Yeah.
That's the other guy," because they already went to Kevin Bacon and failed. And so Senor Ortega comes up and he's like, "Hey," he speaks much better written dialogue than this. He's like, "Hey, graboids are coming. They're eating us." And Earl's like, "No, I don't want to do that." And then for some reason, the cab driver is very familiar with like the financial aspects of like how much he would get paid, and like goes into the apartment at her house to like negotiate with them. And he's like, "We're gonna give you $50,000 a pop." And I'm like, "Why do you know this?"
I was like, there's not ever a scene where the guy from the oil refinery is like, "Grady, why don't you also join us on this adventure?"
But like, think about that cab ride. Why would Senor Ortega like be like, "Yeah, so we got these giant fucking worms eating all of my men, and I'm gonna pay these guys $50,000 a pop"? How was your day? Like, why is he revealing like the numbers of like another country's problem?
I mean, maybe they got bored. It's a long ride out in the middle of nowhere.
So I will say before this happens,
Ostrich
when
farm.
we first see Fred Ward, like as you see him wrangling something, and like they're being coy as to what it is, and so part of me thought, because I haven't seen Tremors 2, I was like, oh shit, it's a graboid, like they're graboid rodeo stars, and like this is robot jocks with graboids.
Oh,
That would have been.
And I got very excited, and then it was a fucking ostrich, and I was upset.
Well, they make a whole thing about his lassoing skills in the first movie, so it was fun to see them like doing that again. I don't know.
So his whole, plot we don't see between movies is that he had his 15 minutes, but he was very bad with money.
Yep.
Did not cash in. Started an ostrich farm and is not very successful at it. And when I was reading fun facts about this movie, someone pointed this out. I just have to share because it was like Earl struggles with ostriches at the beginning of the movie while attempting to get them to mate. His difficulty may lie with the fact that both of them are male. Female ostriches are noticeably shorter and gray. And I just love that in the world of the internet and movie franchises that someone's like paying attention to this insignificant plot point that was purely just a throwaway gag so they could get him to not have money at the beginning of the movie. And it's like, those are two male ostriches.
Yeah.
He just cares about what Earl's up to. He just wants him to be okay.
Yeah.
Get the female ostrich out there.
Oh man. So we get to Mexico.
Right. So yeah, it's 50,000. Oh, one important plot point is that of all the fun accoutrements that are up on the wall. Also, one thing is Earl was the one who had a plan, so you think he'd be better. Like this whole persona in the first movie is have a plan, like be patient, be good with money, type of thing. Like it goes against his character for the first movie.
First thought, like in the beginning of the film when Fred Ward was back, and I was like, oh, dang it, he didn't get out of the town. Like, the whole movie, they're like, we're going to go do something with our lives. And I was like, oh, this is sad.
Because clearly, if you don't get married, you can't leave.
Yeah.
You'll never be happy.
Yeah, that's part of the perfection curse. And so he has, of his missed opportunities, he has a Playboy Playmate up on the wall that's like, Mrs. 1979. He was just like, yeah, I keep that up there so I know that, like, my dreams will never come true.
That was Miss October 1974.
He did his homework, as we already established.
Which might come back later. I don't know.
It might.
Why would it?
It would.
I did not.
I did not think it would.
I did not think it would.
So they get down to Mexico.
Yes, and we get introduced to the latest smart female scientist.
That's right.
Helen Shaver is the actress who plays her, and her name is Kate Riley.
Yeah.
And she, it's funny because they have another geologist.
Right.
And they're all about, like, setting up seismographs and stuff in this movie, too.
I want to put HBO on blast for a second because I was watching this on HBO Go, and they in the synopsis, they describe her teaming up with pretty geologist Helen Shaver. And I was like, why do you got to qualify her looks?
Why would you say that, pretty geologist? Not
like on the HBO description.
Not
so
like
just,
genius geologist.
Yeah, I don't know who wrote that. I guess it might not be HBO.
That's right.
But I had to say that.
That's crazy. There's actually a really fun scene that Eliz wanted to point out that she loved. When we first get introduced to her, there's a scene where like she's bending over and looking at something, and Fred Ward's like checking out her ass, and we see like a shot of her ass, like, and he's like, damn. And then he like bends over to look at a map, and then we get the exact opposite shot where like she's looking at his ass, and she's like, damn. And Eliz was saying, she sent a couple thoughts over that she thought that was like really cool, something that you like barely ever see even in films today. Like,
No, I was applauding. And that's what made me like so mad at the HBO description. I'm like, this movie was like trying to like break these
they were being progressive.
Yeah.
Well, we were talking about how well that relationship was built in the first one. That does carry over in this one.
Yeah. And
mostly.
And the female character is not like a just there for her looks.
No.
She's like
it's
smart.
not like she's a Playboy model or something.
No. At this point in the movie, she is not.
She is a pretty geologist.
We don't care about skipping around.
Yeah. Well, one thing that comes up here is that they're like $50,000 per graboid you kill, and then Senor Ortega is like, "But we'll give you double if you catch one alive." And then like immediately my sci-fi nerd brain's like, "Oh, do they want graboids to dig oil pipelines? Like, are they going to enslave? Like,
didn't even think
is
about
this
that.
part? Is like, do they want it for proprietary technology? Like, is this like the evil oil company that's going to like
They're gonna try to
persist over the next movies?
Is Tremors 3 like
turns out no.
I mean, maybe.
Maybe.
Is Tremors 3 gonna be like a geopolitical thriller about
right.
oil in Mexico?
That'd be awesome.
Oh man.
So we get shortly after this, we get like a friggin' graboid killing montage.
Yeah, it turns out that they're very easy to kill.
Why did Mexico, the country who the world knows about this graboid problem from perfection, very well documented, lots of stories. They've been on Good Morning America. They've probably described how they killed it, which included like it running into a wall, it like falling off a cliff.
The fucking cab driver knows enough about it to build traps.
But yet the military can't shoot their own guns. They have to like give the like whatever request of Earl. Like,
yeah. It's funny, yeah. So the Mexican government supplies him with dynamite, guns, all sorts of stuff.
Remote
RC
control
cars.
cars.
Yeah. He was like, I need some remote control cars, preferably one called Thor.
could you mix them up in variety? Like I want some to be like trucks and some to be like little police cars.
Yeah, I feel like that somebody in this movie just wanted a bunch of really cool RC cars, and I can't blame them because as I was watching this movie, I was just like, damn, I want a really awesome RC car.
Yeah.
Jokes aside, that was the smartest way.
Yeah, it
they
really
could have
was.
Thought to
It was
kill
great.
them.
I like that.
It's
I like that.
incredible.
And I love that. I mean, I thought
what
it
they
was
were doing was putting dynamite on RC cars and driving them around till graboids bit them and then detonated.
I thought it was fun that, like, you know, we get to see Fred Ward's character, Earl, be like, yeah, I fucking know what I'm doing. I'm murdering the shit out of all these graboids. And we clearly, like, I don't know, there must have been test audiences or reviews of the first film where all the audiences were like, oh man, that scene where the guts fly on him, that's fucking hilarious. That's the funniest shit I've ever seen. So like that happens, it gets called back to and happens like, I don't know, 50 times.
Yeah, no, there's a great moment talking about like what you're talking about of just seeing, it's a montage of Earl being a fucking graboid killer and being good at it, and there's some humor to it. And so the first one that they blow up, he has like a little like parasail, like to block from all the guts.
A fancy umbrella.
Yeah, he has a fancy umbrella, and Grady does not open his umbrella in time, and he gets slimed. And Earl's like, "I told you."
Of all the I told you,
He's just like,
amazing.
Yeah. That was great.
And I love just that they just so quickly had this montage of just sheer fun. Like, all like as a joke aside, like this was like the most fun part of this movie. Cause it's like, we're going to kill graboids in the most fun, creative way possible. We're going to see several remote control cars get swallowed and then explode and have guts fly everywhere. This is the only licensed song in the movie. Of course, I'm going to talk about that. Which went uncredited. And I was so upset about it.
I rewound the credits like, wait, where's the song? Because usually I look for that to put in the end of the episode. But
this is Travis Tritt's Trouble. Looked it up.
But it's spelled T-R-O. Like with dashes.
But this was such a fun scene. Like, I'm glad the movie did other things, but I would have been so happy if they just had an hour and a half of just this much fun, guts flying, like fun music.
And it was great when they're like leaning up against a rock, like eating lunch, and they're playing the music, and then all of a sudden it's just like you just hear this like. And the radio goes down, and it turns out that Grady had left the radio on the ground, and Fred Ward's just like, did you leave the radio on the ground? You fucking, you dumbass.
You know that's the one rule. Like, they can hear.
Oh, I forgot.
Yeah. I'm just a cab driver.
I forgot what we were doing with this really complicated, sophisticated idea of remote control cars. So
I know.
We drove them away from us.
And they have like a seismograph that is like a fish finder for graboids.
Which I thought was kind of fun. Yeah. And I was gonna say we've glossed over it thus far, but Grady fucking sucks.
Grady sucks.
He's supposed to be the fill-in character for Kevin Bacon, obviously.
I thought that it was like at some point he was gonna be the punk kid grown up from the town.
Yeah, he's
because he sucks that much.
Yeah, he's very similar. It's a very similar, character.
Yeah,
where he's just like, I'm the bro, dude.
Which I thought, I literally thought when he showed up, like that's what he was gonna say. Like, you remember me from Perfection?
Yeah.
Like,
look at my
now I'm a shitty cab driver.
Look at my bowler shirt. Yeah. I've got another one and another one and another one.
Well, how old do we think Grady is?
Cab driver.
Old enough to be the bass
35,
player in the
I'm going to say.
But, like, has never heard of rock, paper, scissors?
Yes! I was thinking the same thing.
Earl's like, throws his fist out, and he's like, well, shoot for it. And he's like, well, what do I do? Rock, beat, scissors. He's like, oh, it does?
I know.
kidding?
I was like, where did you go to school, man? Like, everyone knows this shit.
You had time to research everything about Val and Earl's graboid killing, but you never came across the fact that they
honestly,
were-
I believe everything. I believe graboids are real. I believe other things are real. This part, I'm just like, this is the least believable part of the movie.
You believe that Grady can't be that fucking stupid?
No.
My suspension of disbelief was just ruined
That's right.
at this point. The rest of the movie is so
You're like,
hard to get back
even
into.
this dumbass knows what a Rochambeau is.
But but I did love that they brought back Fred Ward's like, let's rock paper scissors for it, which
Right.
that was a big part of the last movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which I thought was great.
They did
Lots
the
of good
best job
callbacks.
that they could at making him the Kevin Bacon of this movie.
Yeah.
He just was
Without
not-
him being Kevin Bacon,
Yeah.
like at all.
Well, Kevin Bacon I never thought was annoying in the other movie.
No.
No, not at all.
Yeah, this guy. Like,
Turns out there's this thing called charm, and this person lacks it.
I mean, I don't want to the actor's career
Sure.
path, but Kevin Bacon did Footloose.
Oh, I mean, the greatest movie of all time, according to Star-Lord.
that's true. That's true.
Enough said.
Yeah, exactly. No.
So this whole like start of the film, we're dealing with graboids. Fred Ward's killing them like crazy, and I like the whole first part of the movie. Every time a graboid showed up, I was a little bit like underwhelmed.
Yeah.
And I felt kind of like, oh, like the effects aren't like what happened. The effects don't look as great. Like I felt like they had it figured out in the first movie.
And you had that awesome opening shot of like a whole prosthetic graboid.
Yeah, but even that, it's like you see half of it for a
Right.
second, and then
Yep.
it goes down. It was just very like up, down, and then there are other times it's like you see a little bit of them, a tiny thing, and then it's mostly just them getting exploded. But we find out why that they looked kind of
Where'd the money for
janky.
effects go?
Yeah.
Tell us more.
Oh, really? Well, it turns out that Earl and Grady come across a graboid that is out of the ground and just like wailing, like
It's like a beached whale.
yeah. It's like something's wrong with it. They don't know. They're like, this is the one we can capture alive.
Yeah. Well, now Senor Ortega's oil drilling company has a new
We already
technology.
made like $300,000.
Yeah, right.
We need
They've killed
more.
like 15, clocking like $50K a pop, and they're like, but we could get double for this live.
Yeah, so the first movie had like 4 graboids. That's it. This one, like, they kill all but 8, I think is what they say later on. But so this one is like wailing, and later at night it starts to make this crazy noise, and they come back and find that like it's exploded or like its insides have been ripped out or something.
Which was like the coolest, I thought, practical effect
Yes.
of the whole movie. Like, that looked awesome.
Exactly.
And, like,
It looked like the inside of like pumpkin guts or something.
Yeah. It was
so
it was
cool.
gross. It was like a set piece. It was like a
And it was like, it was a moment in the like one of the few moments in the movie where you're kind of like, what the fuck is going on?
and the graboid felt like it was huge and gross
Yeah.
and
And it got
slimy.
scary all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Like, it was nighttime, and you were like, oh, fuck, this
And-
movie has been toying with me.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Fred Ward's like, something came out of it.
Yeah.
And you're like, wait, what?
I need to know what that was, Fred Ward. Please find out.
Shine a flashlight on it, why don't you?
And you can make fun of, effects don't translate in whole and it's low budget. I thought this still looked good. Like,
Yes.
this many years later, that piece.
This looked good, and like, what has come out of there looked really good, except for a few things. But when the effects are practical in this film, they look fucking
They look
dope.
amazing.
When they
Yeah.
cover it with, sweet and sour sauce or whatever they were using.
Yeah.
It looks awesome.
This carcass looks delicious.
So we learned.
It double served as craft service.
That's right.
So we're learning that something has busted out, and what has busted out are like these little tiny like. They look like what are those?
They look like the Mousers from
Yes,
Teenage Mutant
I was
Ninja
like
Turtles.
those mouse robots from TMNT.
Dude, oh my God,
That's exactly
I
what they
saw
look
that
like.
That's exactly what they look like.
Wait, which came
Baxter
first?
Stockman's Mousers.
Probably
I imagine
the
Teenage Mutant
Turtles,
Turtles, yeah.
because that was like
Turtles came first.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
Yeah.
time is or when things came out.
But I thought they looked really awesome, and
Mm-hmm.
actually they have this thing on the top of their heads that like kind of flips up that I thought looked really gross.
It's a super gross like membrane of like it's there for their heat sense, which
Yeah.
is like their predator vision type thing. But like it's this kind of like radar, like this fleshy radar disc that's come up that's all gory and slimy.
It kind of reminded me of like the Dilophosaurus in Jurassic
Yeah.
Park.
Yeah.
Just like not like in a ripoff kind of, but just like the way it would like come out and
it just
look
it just
awesome.
grossed me out when it
Yeah.
opened up. I was like, ugh.
Well, and some of the, speaking of Jurassic Park, some of the creature design is from Tippett Studio, which was Phil Tippett was the CG and puppet, the famed dinosaur supervisor on Jurassic Park. That you'll see people say, "You had one job, Phil." She failed, but they did some of the puppet design and the CG shots in this film. Which there's this amazing puppet. These little. Are they? They're still graboids, right? They're
I think I saw some places call them shriekers.
Shriekers.
It was like scripted but never said.
Yeah. So the shriekers have there's one puppet that looks great, but it took like 16 people to operate, and the puppet couldn't actually walk. So there's a lot of this movie works, and it's impressive how much it does because these creatures that end up being like the main antagonist for the rest of the film, there's swarms of them, and they could never actually get a shot of it walking. So there are some really early CG shots that don't look great.
Yeah, there's some that are okay.
Passable.
Yeah.
But they do an amazing job of patching things together where it seems like these things are mobile.
Yeah.
Because the puppet that you see that's practical does not walk.
Yep.
I read the same that it was 16 people to do the one puppet,
Yes.
but they couldn't afford to have like 16 puppeteers employed to like film all day, so they would just pull the crew members like from whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh my
hey
God.
DP, like, can you come over and do the puppeteering for a minute?
Work the leg.
Like, Fred Ward, you're not in the scene. Can you get it? Like, I don't know who's doing it. I just love that idea of like everybody on set, like all hands on deck. We got to get these streakers moving.
But I mean, yeah. So this stuff looks impressive, and like as I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, this is where all the money's going, and I'm like, I was impressed. I don't know. I thought it was cool.
So I have some thoughts about this.
I also have thoughts, but go ahead.
About the shriekers and changing the rule. These monsters can they're deaf. They don't hear. And they're
also
tracking by heat.
They're also blind.
They're also blind,
Yeah.
but the original graboids were blind as well.
Right.
And the thing we talked about in Tremors 1 of like how I could see, man, this is going to be an amazing series because it's a classic monster. It's like the werewolf with the silver bullet. It's like Dracula and garlic and like a full moon and, you know, all that fun stuff. Like we know the rules of graboids. You have to stay on and it's just kind of like, well, those were fun, but but like it almost seemed like it's like, you know what's hard? Like doing a scene where our characters can't talk to each other. So like, let's make it heat. Like I don't even want to think about how to solve that problem. So like, let's throw out all the rules that we established of these monsters and then make these weird chickens that are going to chase them.
It was like the rebranding of like your favorite brand. They're like, you like Coke? Well, we changed all the ingredients and now it's new Coke.
Yeah.
I hope you like it.
Yeah, okay, fair. So I had like the exact opposite reaction where I was like, okay, what are they going to do in the second movie? We know how graboids work. What are there going to be like more of them? Like, okay,
Sure.
whatever. And when this happened, first of all, I was expecting it to be like that, where it's just like dealing with graboids again. Here we go. And when this happened and they were like evolving or whatever, giving birth, I don't know exactly what happened, but they were like evolving into this new thing with
When
new...
a graboid loves a graboid.
Yeah. I was excited because, first of all, like I said, they looked awesome. And it kind of made me excited to watch the rest of the movies because I was like, oh man, are they going to evolve in some crazy way each movie? And I thought it was like an inventive design.
This graboid's a data scientist.
It's like, I know, yeah. It's like I know it looked like the Mausers, but like,
yeah.
I thought it was a cool thing, and they pulled it off really well.
My one thing is that then they became super susceptible to gunfire.
Yeah.
Like, it was just like, well, you just got to shoot them once, and then they're dead.
Although they had problems with that because Bert brought the wrong guns.
Yeah.
We skipped over.
We haven't
Bird,
even-
yeah,
yeah.
Bird hasn't even arrived yet.
I mean, we've kind of got past
yeah.
him.
But I'm sort of torn on your opinions too, because I love the original graboids.
Yeah.
I was a little bummed that they never come back in this movie. Like,
Right.
all
Yeah.
we got was the one death at the beginning, the guy running over the barrels.
Yeah.
That's the only graboid death that
Yeah.
we get, and it was like, oh shoot,
Well, and
Well,
there was so much cool iconography in the first one of like the guy staying up on the telephone pole, and like they had all these great elements of like showing you the symptoms of what a graboid infestation is. Of like it's people being scared of these are the things that you can't do, and I thought that it was very, very clear, and I was like, oh, I could watch 5 movies of this, and it was just
I
like,
don't know. It's hard to say. Like if they never changed it or something, I don't know if that would sustain.
Well, that's what it seems like. It's like they got to the writers' room, they're like, well, what? Like, you have dynamite, you can blow them up, so they just showed that, and they're like, let's change it up. Like, I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, because like if it literally was the same thing again, they already kind of ran through like everything you could do
in one movie. They
Yeah.
ran the gamut
They
of
kind
all
of, like,
possible
I
scenarios.
mean, they freaking pole vaulted on rocks and everything. You know, it's like, yeah.
I guess when you're starting with pole vaulting, that like
Exactly. You're like, where do you go from there? It's like you're gonna have them trapped on a rock again. Like, oh, what do we do?
We got another rock.
And I liked that. So in this one, it turns out that the like we said, the Shriekers are blind and deaf.
Yeah.
So it leads to this like fun scene where they're kind of like everyone is once again trapped on a roof somewhere, and in like a fun juxtaposition from the first film, instead of them trying to be as quiet as possible, they're yelling at each other like, "Oh my god, what do we do?"
Because they like also still have all sense of humor. They're like, "Shut the fuck up!"
Yeah, exactly. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. So I thought that was fun. It was like it totally turned stuff on its head from the first film.
And I love like when you meet the Shriekers, like I said, it gets scary all of a sudden, and they're like, "We got to walk across this field over to Pedro's truck that inexplicably stopped."
Yeah, that
and
was a great scene.
This got like to be a scary movie all of a sudden, and it doesn't stay scary, which bummed me out. 'Cause it's like, oh, I wish it had just gone full like horror. Here.
Yeah.
There was a scary death with the dude in the window. That was.
Oh yeah,
The dude in the window is my favorite scene because it's so.
What was
Why
his name?
was he in the window?
It's so hilarious.
was his
It's
name,
so
Pedro or
hilarious
No,
to me.
Pedro was in the truck. He had his arms.
Oh,
ripped
Julio? Was it
Julio?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So he's standing outside. It's one of those things where he's standing outside talking to the geologist, and he gets grabbed by
Just
one of these
pops in.
Shriekers.
Oh hey, what are you doing inside? I'm outside.
It's like a jump scare with that he's there.
Half his torso is inside and half his torso is outside. And the coverage of this scene is about as you expect. A close-up on a puppet, this guy flailing.
But his face looks horrified.
Yeah.
He's like,
He sells it.
yeah.
He sells it, but it's basically him just shaking where there's nothing out the other side. Like, you never see it. Like, the two shots are never married. And so it is hilarious.
Dude is giving it his all.
He is.
I want to call him out. Marco Hernandez. Great job.
Which, by the way, is the last death of the movie.
Yeah.
There's only 3 on-camera deaths, I think.
That's true.
Yeah.
There weren't a ton of deaths in the first one either.
And they're only Mexican characters.
yeah.
Which felt kind of weird. I was like, wow.
That's true. That's true.
Come on.
They could have killed Grady, you guys.
They could have.
Should
They
have
could
killed
have.
Grady. I don't know if he
should've.
comes back, but I hope not.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't know.
So yeah, they called Bert in. It was when they were just blowing them up easily, though, right? I forget why they called him in.
So they're blowing him up easily, and then the radio gets pulled under the ground.
Oh, right.
And then I don't know if it's the exact same scene, but the chain that Grady had built
Yeah.
also gets pulled under, and then their truck gets pulled along, and suddenly they realize they've outsmarted us by pulling the truck along. Which, by the way, they could have just unhooked it from the back, but.
Right.
Beside the point.
Yeah, there's another fun callback in that scene where like it's pulling them straight to a cliff, and you're like, "Oh shit, it's gonna go off the cliff!" But it stops. This graboid stops and then goes along the cliff.
They get smarter, and
They
do
learned
love
from
Western
the
they
movies.
ones
do
in
learn.
Nevada.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so and
There's
then,
a graboid hive mind. It's confirmed.
Maybe.
And then they're sitting there, and the handy dandy seismologist machine, I don't know what's right, shows like I don't know whatever the ton of them coming at them. And they're like, we need somebody else for this mission.
Yeah.
And then they're like, hey Bert, what are you up to?
Let's call him the sad guy.
And then I don't know if it was the exact scene or later when he's telling him that why Reba McEntire doesn't come back, but he's basically
No, it's the same scene. It's like
and he's like, well, she didn't think my life could go on after the USSR collapsed. And like that's all he wanted was like the fear of the threat.
Yeah,
and
he
like
couldn't live
now
with
he's
his
sulking in the basement with like a giant graboid.
No, I loved what they did with that, like, sequel-wise. I
Yeah.
love what they did with this character, because, like, that was more justification of Reba McEntire not being in this movie, which she's not.
Yeah.
But, like, it's so awesome, him just being, like he's just, like, pathetic and slouched over with chips on his, like, shirt. Like,
And then as soon as he hears the word graboid, he's like, "Oh shit!"
like,
I'm
something
in.
to kill, yeah.
He might as well had a shotgun thrown at him. He's like,
Yeah.
I'm good. Let's go.
Yeah, Yeah, he's a great character. Michael Gross giving it his all.
That's
here.
right.
Oh, amazing. And then, of course, gets more ammo, more guns, more explosives.
A truck.
Too much explosives, they ask? We'll find out later in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get a Darkman-sized explosion in this movie.
Oh yeah, the very end.
Yeah.
So the whole thing, we may as well get to the end here. The whole thing leads up to Bert kind of like chasing getting chased by all the Shriekers. He leads them into this building, runs back out, and then closes the door on them.
Well,
Right.
don't forget the amazing off-camera action sequence where he destroys like hundreds of them.
Yeah.
And his guts everywhere. And
Oh,
he's
that
like,
was amazing.
I ran out of ammo. I never thought this could happen.
He's like, those fuckers ambushed me out in the desert. That was a great scene. Because it's like full of guts and everything.
Like, I want to see that scene, but I know it was too expensive.
That's it. Yeah.
We should say that we learn another thing about the Shriekers is that the way they reproduce is just by eating food.
Which
and
the pretty geologist says that
There's an amazing
she's
line
she's
read.
like, they're hermaphrodites, and I'm like,
yeah, and
I
everyone
think you mean asexual.
she's like, yeah, she says that, and everyone sits there like, what?
Yeah. Oh, also important that these beings are Precambrian.
That's
yes.
right. We get a real, for as much talk as how they didn't want to say where they came from, we get an answer to that in this movie.
Yep, that they are ancient life forms that have been on Earth the whole time.
Yeah, so they're important.
Yes.
I like how they sprinkled in like the scientific explanation, like just the vocabulary. They didn't like try to treat the audience like they were dumb or anything.
Right,
yeah.
It was just like Precambrian.
Yeah, so someone could be like, ooh, what's that mean? And oh, it means really old.
Yeah. But I got so frustrated because earlier Earl's trying to remember the word metamorphosis, and he's like, "What's the word when they change?" And I'm like, "Figure it out, please. Just don't leave us hanging. No, the scene's over. No, we're never gonna hear it."
I do like that Earl's like, God damn it, I thought it was space aliens.
Yeah, that was right.
That's the
like-
entire audience.
I was going to say, yeah, he's speaking for us here, us there. Yeah.
So basically, yeah, so when these animals, the Shriekers, eat, they can then reproduce.
yeah, that we get a cool, like, species-esque scene where, like, the Shrieker, like, spits something gross out.
Barfing up an egg sack.
Yeah, and then it turns out to be a baby Shrieker.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you guys said this in the first Tremors, but I love just the whole idea that the graboids go by sound and the obvious reminder of A Quiet Place being a more recent movie did that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, how cool! This is like an early maybe A Quiet Place got some influence, or just like, oh, it's fun that this idea has been done before. And when they had that scene, I was like, man, I really hope in A Quiet Place 2 they just like eat food and then vomit out like more monsters. And Emily Blunt is like the new Burt, like just shooting everybody up, and it's just this amazing action.
And I want them to be like, they're Precambrian.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping like if they just go full Tremors.
If that
too.
happens in A Quiet Place 2, I'm going to yell at the top of my lungs in the
Quiet
theater.
Place.
This is fucking. Then you become Garrett. Then you become Garrett's friends who's super into Tremors.
Yeah. Fucking Tremors won't
That's what
shut up
happens.
about it. Yeah.
It's the circle of life.
So yeah, they get lured into this building, which it turns out is full of dulces, right?
Yeah.
and about a 35-minute scene of them trying to define it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're like dulces.
What is
dulces.
this Spanish word that
felt-
everyone on the West Coast knows?
It felt like it went on for so long. They might as well phoned a friend. Do you know what dulces means? No, let me see if I can Google real quick. That's against the rules. Now you have to be in the audience for the phone.
Oh yeah. So unfortunately, Shriekers love dulces too. So
But we didn't even talk about the
If there's one thing we're gonna have clear is that Shriekers love dulces.
dulces.
we didn't even talk about the meals ready to eat that
very-
like 100 pounds of,
Of MREs, yeah.
which just I don't know why it made me laugh so much.
Him reading the ingredients.
Well, just the whole scene where for no reason Earl's eating some chips and he's like, oh, you need to cut back on your complex carbohydrates, and I was like, cool,
Cool 1996.
more progressive. No, that's not the right word. But
Yeah,
just trying to have a message, and then I wrote it down because it's amazing. He's like, yeah, they're filled with entrees, cracker packs, cheese spreads, mixed fruit, beverage powder, spoon, coffee, cream substitute, candy, salt, matches, toilet tissue.
Yeah. And it's followed up with like this weird voiceover scene where
The most 80-yard line ever.
where Earl's like eating one and he's like, ugh, this tastes like toilet paper.
He's like, that is the toilet paper.
Yeah. I was like, how does Earl know what toilet paper tastes like?
I mean, but like, if it's a meal ready to eat, why are they including toilet paper? Like, I don't know.
I don't think that's how MREs work.
It's a meal ready to shit.
Yes, it's like they're covering all the parts of the meal.
Yeah. Use every part of the buffalo.
But so this 100 pounds of MREs are in this warehouse where now all the shriekers are trapped, and it's like a fucking rabbit orgy of just like pop, 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 pop. Like,
Oh, there's like 35 of them now. Yeah.
like,
Oh
my
no!
God.
This fucking geologist, like, oh my God, like they're asexual or they're hermaphrodites. It's exponential. 2, 4, 8, and then she keeps going. And
She gets stuck in a loop.
Yeah,
Mathematical.
yeah. And she says like all the numbers. It's like, yeah, we get it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So they're all trapped in this warehouse.
Oh, before they get trapped in the warehouse, we have this amazing. We get back on the roof again, which was great. And Bert's stuck in the
bulldozer,
thing, and I love that. It was another callback to the verse. Like, good, they're on a roof. This is like feels like the thing. And then I don't know if you guys want to talk about the incredible dialogue back and forth between But
go for it.
I think I forgot to, and even though they fully explain it, I'm like, wait, they don't have to be quiet? And then they're just like, hey, Bert! I was like, oh, wait, I can't, oh, right, they can talk.
That's what I was saying. I thought that was great, because in the first movie, they were like trying to be quiet the whole time. This one, they're just yelling at each other.
It just felt wrong. I don't know. But I loved him with the knife, using it as a mirror. That was It was like a cool set piece, and like got creative, until the CGI pyramid of like...
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, man, yeah. That was weird.
Is it before the pyramid happens that we learn that our geologist was in fact Miss October?
No, that's at the end, I think.
That's the very end.
But we need to just address that while it's out. Because, like we said earlier, at no point in the opening of this movie I was like, I really hope that Playboy comment comes back in a really significant plot.
I had forgotten about it. She says something like, oh, yeah, I was a Playmate once and my dad hated it. And I was like, what?
And then
Are we doing this?
Wait, this October 1974? Holy shit.
Yeah. And then she does the fucking pose, and it's terrible.
Yeah, and then it's like, we're in love.
Like, yeah.
That was a ridiculous callback, but I loved it.
A fun fact about that, but I was trying to find out my note. Basically, here we go. So, along with the ostrich thing, the things the fans have researched, which is just endlessly entertaining for me to be researching. Someone's like, well, the actual centerfold in the film is Miss September of 1970.
Oh my God!
But
Jesus,
that was, the Helen Shaver is, I think she's blonde in the film, and they needed to make sure that the hair match. Just the scrutiny of detail that fans have put into, I just applaud, and just because it's such a ridiculous plot that
we salute you, Playboy nerds.
Yes,
absolutely. You know, somebody who was watched this was like, wait a second.
Let me go to the attic.
Pulled out a drawer. Let me think. Miss September. There it is. Hello, movie. I've got some things to say. Continuity errors.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
So, Fred Ward basically has to put on a cold suit.
Yes.
He puts on a bunch of rags, and they spray him with
CO2.
CO2 from a fire extinguisher.
We get some progression in the I'm learning rock paper scissors.
Yeah.
Where he just lies to him. He's like, "Oh, rock rips through paper."
And he's like, "Oh, okay." And then like 2 seconds later, he's like, "Wait a minute, doesn't paper cover rock?"
And then everyone
or
in
he
the
says
world
paper
is
wrap.
like,
No, he says wraps.
Yeah, he says paper wraps rock, and I was like,
what?
And then
he still doesn't get it.
Yeah.
And then everyone who's ever existed in the history of the universe is like, "Of course, you fucking idiot."
He had to spend all that time learning the streets of Nevada as a cabbie.
I did love, and it's not
hate
like
Grady.
it's not an advanced scientific thing, but I just love like the thoughtfulness of like, okay, now that we've introduced this like the infrared heat thing, like what's a creative way we could have him go into the room, like a very like Walking Dead covering yourself in the guts type moment. It was like, let's spray him with a fire extinguisher, and it was like, good, amen.
It was
like
smart.
Writers, like you fucking like you took some ridiculous ideas and like really made it work.
You did it better than earlier when he just put out a shirt that was warm that made them chase after it.
He just held it under the faucet.
You're a genius. But yes, I agree. Like that set piece worked well, but of course it starts degrading, and then so Earl basically just sets a fuse onto the truck, Bert's truck, that had some high explosives.
Too much high explosives? No, we're about to find out.
No, I think it was the right amount.
There's a great scene where they run and get behind a thing, and Bert's just like, "No, you gotta keep running."
Seriously, farther.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge. It's gonna be huge.
Grady like flying through the air with the explosion. It's like,
well, no, because they do an explosion that like they blow up their set, and it is a big, like everything's just immediately timbers. Like it is a big, mean explosion. But then Grady, because he's still a fucking idiot, is like, they run to a ditch, and he's standing by like some shack. So like
the way this aluminum shack.
The way that they shot it is like you see this giant explosion, and then they cut to this shack kind of being blown over, so they can have Grady jump out of the way. So it kind of looks like that they're being shot at the same thing.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Fuck Grady.
And then we get to like a shot that pans out to see that there's like a giant fucking crater.
Yeah.
Like an atomic
Yeah.
bomb-sized hole.
I was like, the explosion was big, but it wasn't that big.
There's no way that's what happened from there. About 100 interns were digging that hole for like a while.
And they're like, well, you think they're gonna pay us that money now? We kind of blew up their entire refinery.
Which I did some quick math. Like they got to like 1.5 million.
Oh my god!
Shit!
For some reason, the like Mexican government is like, yeah, cool.
They're like,
you
worth
got rid
it.
of the shriekers.
Worth it.
We skipped over Bert's ridiculous like gun that like went through the shrieker,
Yes.
through the wall, through
yeah.
the barrels, and through their car.
He's got that elephant gun from the first first movie.
Oh, I love it.
Which guns put off heat, right? When the shriekers go towards the gun there.
Yes.
Yeah. Shh.
They might.
We're at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
No time for twists.
In a hyper realistic film. Yeah.
I love this whole movie. I kept having questions like that. I was like, what can I talk about on the podcast? Like, you know, like what are fun observations? And they kept answering them.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is amazing. So like one of them went at the very beginning and it eats the guy at the very beginning. I was like, I wonder, like, do they eat because, like, are they eating them because they're hungry? Or are they eating them because they're just trying to destroy everything? Mm-hmm. And then for some reason they answer the fact, like, oh, eating means reproducing in this universe. And I was like, that's incredible. How did you know that I wondered this totally insignificant thing that I just thought would be an interesting conversation?
Tremors 2 is in your mind, Garrett.
And then it's just every step of the way, I was like, well, the RC cars can only last so long. What are they going to do next? What? They're inside the graboid? Now we have shriekers?
Holy crap. Yeah.
Oh,
see,
yeah.
I liked that kind of thing. And it makes me excited to see what crazy shit is going to happen in the next one because I assume they're going to progress the species somehow.
I agree with that.
To even crazier shit.
I have no idea. I can only hope. My imagination has run wild. On this one.
Yeah.
It's gonna be on a desert island, and oh shit, the graboids can swim.
Ooh, that would be sweet.
They're going to become like health insurance representatives, and they're going to deny you because of your pre-existing conditions. It's going to take a real twist.
It's gonna be a real.
Oh God. So wait, Garrett, I'll let you go first. How many dulces out of 10 would you give this film?
Oh my god! So it's interesting because like when I finished the movie and I was like, it wasn't as good as the first one. Like first reaction, like I'm like honestly like 6 dulces, like 7. But like the more I was reading all of the like fan comments and the enthusiasm and like and I wanted the director's SS Wilson is his name.
Yeah.
I have the huge shout out because I was on their website. They have this like questions form where you can go and like ask questions, and he's still responding. I kid
Oh,
you not.
dang.
The most recent response was May 7th, 2018.
What?
I was like, holy fucking shit, this guy is still on it. Fans are
Today?
still asking questions. Yes, today.
That's amazing.
So I would like, the more I was reading about it, I was like, I'm like at a full 10 right now because I've never been so like, and I've never
That's
enjoyed this
awesome.
experience so much. Like, I don't know, the movie as just like a standalone thing, and I think that's why these movies are so beloved, because you just like, they're like fun, they're B movies, like some things are great, you can pick apart them all
and
day,
they're self-aware, like they know
Yeah.
exactly what they're doing.
They're fucking going for it every single time.
But,
I
like,
mean, as far as we've seen.
I mean, this is exactly what these types of movies do. It's like these conversations. It's the friends who obsess over it and just point out the stupid stuff. Not because we think it's bad,
And
but
they
because
argue.
we love it.
Yeah.
No, you argue
Yeah.
like, no, they shouldn't have had like
No,
done
they should-
streakers. No, the streakers were cool because it made something different.
They should have done
the
my
Shriek-
dumb
yeah.
idea instead of their dumb idea.
The Shriekers were only like 3 feet tall. They couldn't have gotten into the
They couldn't have kicked them. It's like it's that horse-sized duck question all over again.
So yeah, I'm at like a full 10 on it.
Oh,
yeah,
snap.
I mean, I don't know if I mean, we're on Dulce, so I can't say
Yeah,
that
yeah.
about like,
Yeah,
I'm
you're
not gonna
10
say
Dulces.
like Inception is at a 10. It's like beyond 10 Dulces, but
That's awesome, man.
Can I quickly, I don't mean to hog the mic.
No,
but
no, no.
I was on Rotten Tomatoes and I found a few quotes that were just
Oh, absolutely,
choiceful.
absolutely.
But most of the reviews, like, pretty thoughtful, like, oh, it wasn't as good, or like, I like this. It was like everything we've been saying.
Sure.
There's just a few quotes that I just was like, why did you write this on the internet? So the first one,
Yes.
Helen Shaver is in it, and she's pretty hot for her age, says Tyler R.
What? Like, when was that written?
Oh, I don't have to. But like, I'm like, for her age, she's like in her prime. Like, she's like gorgeous.
That's a bad look for Tyler's.
Yeah. I thought it was you at first. I was like, is he just trolling me? Like, somehow he knows I'm going to read this. Another person. A movie like this goes with me wherever I am. At McDonald's, surfing eBay, living near SeaWorld, etc. What? Says Alex J.
Is that real?
This is all on Rotten Tomatoes.
Enjoy San Diego and to Orlando.
Living near
Sir.
SeaWorld, etc.
And these are taken out of context, the whole review, but I looked, I'm like, there's no explanation of why they said it was with them at SeaWorld. It was just like, next thought.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
A bigger budget would have also been cool. Thanks, Miles K. No fucking shit.
So,
Every movie review ever.
This is probably the best one. One of the best movie sequels in cinema history. To me, Tremors 2 Aftershocks is right up there with The Godfather Part 2. Matthew F. I salute you, sir. Your choice of movies is just prime.
that's amazing. That's amazing. I mean, it has pretty good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes,
does.
right?
Yeah.
It's at a 63 or something, right?
Yeah, it was like, and like, the
Audience score is pretty
yeah,
high.
it was like I for all this I wrote down. I didn't take the fact that people care about. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was like 50% audience and
That's
like
pretty good.
60 on the critics. There's only 8 critics, but they were as recent as 2013. So
Oh, wow.
like, at least a few years ago, some critic was like, "You know, it hasn't been reviewed enough." Tremors 2 Aftershocks.
Pretty good. Tyler, what about you? How many dulces?
So I went 9 on the last one, and I was disappointed by this, but over the course of this conversation, they're kind of like, yeah,
See what I mean?
yeah. So I'm gonna go 7 dulces.
Yeah. I gave the first one 7, and I'm going to stay at 7
Yeah.
because...
7's probably a better number, I should say. Like 10 is a bit much.
Okay,
I'm just having a good
No,
time.
but
I was
yeah,
like,
you're
you got
riding the
excited
wave.
about it, man.
Yeah.
I don't care. That's great. I thought, like, you know, this does... I know you had some... Tyler, you had some disagreements about what they did with the graboids.
I think I just really loved the lore of it, and I loved like the not talking, and I thought they did such a good job of defining the rules in the first one. But you're right; it's like what they kind of did everything.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, now I'm in the, like, Tremors hook of, like, what the fuck are they going to do next?
Right.
And I... that idea that they could just evolve in any crazy way...
You're gonna run for Congress.
Yeah, is exciting to me, and I thought that this movie does a good job of kind of like setting up that kind of imaginative idea where it's like
Sure.
anything can happen now. They had these crazy puppy dogs pop out of them that kill
Little
people.
chicken McNugget. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, so who
These little
knows?
chicken McNugget monsters.
Who knows if those will be back or not? But I had a good time with this, giving it a 7. I should just say before we get our thoughts on the next film that Eliz said that she thought she'd give it 5 dulces out of 10.
Okay.
So yeah, she I don't remember what she gave
She
the
was-
last
She
one.
ever listen to this episode and come back and be like, you know what?
I've
been won over by
Yeah,
this.
it was fun. So that's, I think, going to bring us to the end of Tremors 2 Aftershocks.
One fun fact, last thing.
Yeah.
Because most of these are direct to DVD or direct to video
Yes.
cassette and Laserdisc at the time was the big thing. But I found out in researching this was the first Universal DVD released.
Oh
my
snap.
God, that's
At least that's
amazing.
what it said. I mean, I didn't further research.
Is that verifiable?
But on the website, it says
seems
Tremor
right,
2
though.
Aftershocks was Universal's first movie released in the DVD format.
Dang, yeah, I don't think we ever said this one was in 1996.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's about right time.
Which is
Yeah.
just kind of insane.
yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, 6 years after the first one. Yeah, wow. You're
The
probably
first
right.
the first DVD that I owned was The Matrix.
I don't know if I could remember what the first DVD I had was.
I honestly think I bought Airplane again. Was like, you know what? I need this in better resolution
Yes.
with like commentary.
Yes.
And all the
I
special
definitely have
features.
Airplane on VHS and on Blu-ray.
Oh yeah.
Well, cool. Yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of Tremors 2. Tune in next week when we talk about Tremors 3 Back to Perfection. Have any of you guys seen this movie?
No, but
I'm assuming
but my
no.
desert island theory is out the window.
That's right.
I think maybe when it came out, like I said, I like not even exaggerating. Like one of my closest friends when I was a kid loved these.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember which was 3 or 4 or 2 or really. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna say no for the context of this.
I mean, obviously, we're not going to be in Mexico anymore.
No.
Going back to perfection, and I have no idea what's going to happen. They're going to be graboids. Are the Shriekers going to come back?
We'll
Is it
see.
just going to
I
start
hope
back
something
over with
flies. I just really want
Oh,
something to
a
fly.
I think something will fly.
I want the giant
a
graboid.
flyboid? I don't know.
Flyboid.
I was like, what do you call it? A flyboid?
Flyboy.
I think someone's gonna ride a graboid.
Oh my god!
think that'll
that would
happen.
be amazing. I hope we get a cowboy scene with a graboid.
Yes.
I would love it.
They teased it with the emu in the beginning of this
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
Do we
The
think-
ostrich,
Yeah.
Do you think any of the characters will be back or anything?
Do
you know?
I still want to see my graboid rodeo movie that I got excited about, and also the political thriller of the Mexican oil company using graboids to dig their pipelines.
yes. I would love that. Those both sound great.
I do unfortunately remember who does come back, so I don't know if
Okay.
you want me to say.
Don't say.
That's one thing I do remember from the rest of the franchise, so
right,
I'll
all right.
hold off.
Sweet.
But I do remember a fact.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. Garrett, thanks for being here today.
I'm gonna be crying in the shower next week when you're taping this. Just like I wish I could be talking about Back to
Are you
Perfection.
going to keep watching through?
I think I have to. I think I'm lawfully bound.
Well,
to
maybe
watch
we'll
the
have
rest
you.
of-
Maybe we'll have you back on
For the recap.
Yeah, for one of the
for like 15 or 18 or
for one of the last ones or something.
Yeah,
That'd be fun. It's been fun having you on
I'm
here.
gonna have a book of notes at that point. Like, you guys, I haven't left the house in weeks. I've just been watching Tremors. I moved underground to become closer to him. I've only moved around by sound.
I'm communing with the graboids.
I would love that.
Yeah.
I reach out to you
I'm gonna
like,
drift with the graboids and become part graboid.
Garrett. People are saying they haven't heard from you in a couple weeks.
I've moved
gone underground.
I've moved for perfection. I'm speaking to you via ham radio.
That'd be amazing.
But I'm
Please
in
do
Mexico, so it's all I got.
that. Well, if people want to keep in touch with you, shoot you funny whatevers, how can they?
I'm on
Follow you.
the Twitter at Garrett for real. It's Garrett with 2 R's and 2 T's and the word for Garrett
Cool.
for real.
And Eliz, where can people keep in touch with us? Eliz,
Oh.
Eliz.
I think I'm gonna have to
No, she's
fuck
not.
this up 'cause
Eliz-
she's not here.
Eliz
but
is
I will
here.
do my damnedest. At Sequel Rights at Twitter, on the Instagrams and Facebook, sequelrights@gmail.com for what you think the graboids are gonna do next.
Yeah.
And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts.
Yeah, we love to hear your love. Only love.
It sustains us.
Only love for sequel rights.
Please love them.
Well,
Yes.
that actually
So
would
I can
help.
come back.
That's what,
Exactly.
that's what helps us reproduce.
Totally.
Wait.
Comments turn into more episodes.
Wait,
Graboid
you guys
factions.
don't just do it by like having your tongue slide around so you find something to eat and then vomit out your kid? Is that
That's-
just me? Because I identified with the movie at that point.
Yeah, you're like, ooh, I like the taste of this.
I think they taught us something else in middle school.
Okay,
missing out.
Okay. All right, I'm going to call it. This has been Tremors 2 Aftershocks. Thank you guys all for listening. Tune in next week. Tremors 3, Back to Perfection. We're going back.